Welcome back to Pressed Conference. This is Amanda. Bombae and I are here to talk all about this week's acting challenge, Ross Matthews versus the Ducks. But before we get started, I wanted to give a special shout out to our National Press Tier member from our YouTube channel membership. Thank you so much to Starlight. Thank you for supporting our channel. And if you want to support our channel or even get shouted out like Starlight, be sure to check the description to join our YouTube membership. We have 3 tiers, local, regional, and national press, all with different sorts of cool perks to support us. As always, be sure to stream our theme song, Pressed Conference by Amanda. It's about to play. And thank y'all for the support. Let's get started. We kicked Niru out, and
Thank
now
God.
it's just the 2 normal people.
Ding dong. I wouldn't say ding dong. The witch is dead.
The witch is dead. Let us speak the light.
Yeah, the wicked witch of West Hollywood.
Oh boy. How did you feel about today's episode?
I think I've hit that point where I'm like, oh my God, we're 11 episodes in. Jesus Christ. At this point, I realized that okay, now it's just the countdown to the crown. Like, let's go. I'm so excited for the top 5, top 4, top 3. Anya, that's what I'm excited for. Now I'm just like, let's get these filled. Like, I don't mind if we skip just to the top 3 now. Like, if I went into like, are you watching Severance?
I haven't, but I watch it through TikToks.
Right. Well, so you're seeing Severance, yes.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I would have my Annie watch the next few episodes, and then I will wake up just in time to watch the finale. I was like last week. Oh God! Like leading in the preview for this episode, they were like acting challenge, and I was like, oh boy, because as acting challenges go, like sometimes you're encouraged to lean into the campiness of it. Sometimes you're encouraged to like be an actor. And like if a drag queen is an actor, that's great. We love that. But we're not meant to be actors sometimes. We're just meant to be entertainers, So and at least this time they had Cheyenne Jackson, who's an actual actor, to give the queen's feedback, as opposed to like Ross Matthews. Like, where are your Oscars, Ross?
Where's your Emmy?
Like, you host a TV show. That does not make you an actor, So at least we had a good judge giving them feedback and telling them how to do things.
That is so true, but I'm so sick and tired of Drag Race changing up the order of the challenges. That, like, I don't know. I just don't think that an acting challenge should be this far in. We had an order of Drag Race challenges where it'd be like improv and acting towards the beginning, and then Snatch Game, Rusical's like in the middle, Snatch Game, and like girl group and everything is left to the end. Why are we putting all the ones that do well with only a small group?
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Now's the time for makeovers. Now's the time for a design challenge. Now's the time for all that stuff. Like, and also with acting, you can get such bad performances with the more people you have. So I guess they want to, like, it's good to highlight that. But I mean, we still had some decent performances this time, and we had some not so decent. So, but yeah, this episode was not the easiest to go through.
Yeah, it was like it was really a tough watch.
Yeah. What should we replace acting challenges with?
That's such a good question.
We should have a hosting challenge.
In what way? Like hosting like a show? Like
just banter with the crowd, with the judges. Because a lot of what drag queens do is host. We do host, we promote stuff at bars. We're often, the segue between 2 acts, and there should be a hosting challenge where you see how a queen builds rapport with a live audience.
Yeah. You know what I would want to see now that I think about it? What? I want to see the mini challenge from your season where you had presentations where you didn't know what was coming up.
Yeah.
And having to just like
improv.
I feel like that could be a good acting / improv challenge because it's actually entertaining,
But that was here's some little tea, but that was terrifying to do. And there was one queen who I won't mention who kind of had like a breakdown in the middle. And you can bleep, you should bleep the word out, okay? But had like a breakdown, in the middle, and it got so bad they started crying. And so production was like, well, we can't use any of this footage because it's going to make you look horrible for a mini challenge. So, and then started like, they were crying. They're like, this, I don't want to do any of this. And they're still like, the cameras are rolling. And Tracy Melcher is like, okay. That's when the edit, if you see finally, they're barely there.
Oh my God.
Because they
Okay,
couldn't
that
use
makes
that
sense. That's so sad though.
It was.
Ooh. So maybe
And
it's
then
not the most
production,
healthy.
and then production used that against them to get so nervous for Snatch Game because they were like, well, you sucked at the mini challenge that was improv. What are you gonna do for Snatch Game?
Oh
And
my God.
when they said that, I was like, why would you say this to her? Just let
God,
her
that's so
be.
all right, let's hop into this week's episode. When we get back to the workroom, we find out Lexi has recurring nightmares that Suzie is chasing her. I wanted to know, what sort of dreams did you have while filming Canada's Drag
Okay.
Race?
I have never related to a queen harder than when Lexi said this. Because when you're think of where the queens are. We're sequestered. We have no internet, no connection to each other. We don't talk. Our lives revolve around sleeping for maybe 5 or 6 hours, and then drag race, drag race, drag race, drag race. Even on the weekends off, you're still rehearsing what might come next week or whatever. So you're only thinking about drag race. And the very few social interactions that you have are with like your cast. So when I would go to bed, I would like have nightmares about not waking up on time and the crew has left without me to the studio. I would have
Oh my
nightmares
God.
about like the like falling off the stage on Canada's Drag Race because it looks huge on TV. It's not that large in person. Um
Mm.
so those are the kind of dreams you have about like you're like, oh, like because these are the only connections you have, right? You kind of lose yourself in that. So I completely agree. I empathize with Lexi. I only wish she was having good dreams and not bad dreams.
Oh, so you're saying you're your own worst nightmare.
I'm my
Okay.
own worst enema. As a Lexi apologist, I have
Yeah.
to ask you, what do
Okay.
you now, you know Lexi?
Yeah.
She's a playmate, very close friend. When you see your friend react to things like this on TV, what is going through your mind?
It's kind of funny because like I love Lexi and I've seen Lexi like in the most professional settings. I've also seen Lexi at like 1 a.m. like after when everyone is really drunk.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've seen all the different sides. Like even though she's not like someone I see all the time because she's a Louisville playmate, so I'd see her maybe like once a month.
Okay.
But like I feel like it's a pretty accurate depiction.
Okay.
Like she does get in her head like this sometimes, even though she shouldn't because she's so fierce.
Right.
But it's also a really accurate depiction of so many drag queens. I feel like
Mhm.
backstage, everybody, not everyone, a lot of people are very confident and they're more, but you're also doing this and it's your art. So you are a little more, not insecure, but you're a little more emotionally attached to the art. You know, if it's insulted by someone, you take it more personal than like
Yeah.
other things. So it's interesting to see, and I hope I think a lot of queens are going to relate to seeing her trajectory right now with the inner
Mhm.
saboteur and comparing yourself to others.
I just want to
But
shake her up and be like, "You're Lexi, love."
yes,
You maybe in the moment you're not seeing it, but you are so much better than this. Like, shake it off, diva. But again, that's easier said than done.
right.
You
And
know.
I think now after seeing her when she stopped at Nashville, she was like very confident in herself, and it was like there'd been a lot of like confidence growth, I think, since the
Mm-hmm.
like last time I saw her before she left for Drag Race. So
Okay.
it's like really cool to see that that's like that was her, and I did know that version of Lexi, but that's not her now. Like now she
Mm.
knows who she is, and she's got that like validation from the world. So I'm like very happy about that.
Cool. Good
Yay!
to know.
Oh my god, we're so serious without Niru here.
I know, like without that to drag us
Mhm.
down into the gutters of her mind. Ugh.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, Niru won't be missed.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a slightly like it's going to be like a cerebral episode.
Oh yes, cerebral. Our might.
I have a question for our listeners, viewers, everyone. Did you know Ross Matthews is a top?
Is that actually?
Apparently, in an interview, he did confess. And I
This
was
is
pleasantly surprised.
this is Troye Sivan all over again.
Mom, I'm not buying anything that Twink has to say. I'm not. I'm not believing anything. Troye Sivan, Timothy Chalamet, Mama, those are not. But Ross Matthews, I was like, okay, Ross, all right.
Go
The,
off.
the hilarious Ross Matthews is. mm, can you imagine if that was his grinder name?
Oh my god, I would die. They should do that for like how they advertise on Grindr. They have drag race ads on there as
Mhm.
profiles. They should just put the hilarious Ross
Ross Matthews.
Matthews as like one. We are back to Ross Matthews versus the Ducks. This is the Maxi Challenge for the week, directed by Cheyenne Jackson. As we talked about, the queens got to pick out their own roles this week, which surprisingly meant that it was a lot less drama than when one queen decides
Yeah.
that. Do you feel like that's the case for your season, or was it different?
There's always drama. Like on my season, that's how the sabotage montage started with Fierce, because Vivian had given
Yes.
her had paired, given us the let the music play. Oh my god. I have never. Oh god, I can't even listen to that song now without my balls like clenching up. It is.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, to begin with, it was a horrible song. Let the
Yeah.
music play, garbage. But yeah, so there's always drama when you allow one person to pick. There's always like, why didn't you pick me, or why did you give me this, or why did you give me that? And that's the magic of drag. Like sometimes, and this happens in the real world also. Like, let's say you see a theme show, like if you're going to a Lady Gaga Mayhem show, the hostess usually gets to pick who does what song. So sometimes you could get a good song. Like the hostess probably took Abracadabra for herself and gave like
Yeah.
Blades of Grass to someone who's like, I guess this is what's left. And that happens in the real world too. So drag queens have to, like, it's very tactful what you give and take. So this is actually something that happens to us.
That makes sense. So Susie and Jules both wanted the role of Chicago, which was a
Mhm.
Tiffany Pollard inspired role, but Susie eventually gives in and lets Jules have it. What do
Here's a
you think
hot
about that?
take. I thought none of them could do this well.
I agree.
I don't
I
see Susie or Jules as like doing justice to the monologue or the character. I not I just think they're a different kind of fierceness to them, which isn't Tiffany New York Pollard at all. What do you think?
I agree. I don't think either of them would have done well.
Yeah.
So it was honestly a blessing in disguise for Susie once again to let Jules have that role.
Yeah, and also like with Susie, every time she hypes herself up, like before a challenge, she's like, "Oh, my snatch game is gonna be this, or I'm gonna do this," and we see it, and we're like, "Mm-hmm,
Susie is the opposite of Nymphia Wind.
yes,
Nymphia will
yeah,
go, "Oh, I don't know. I'm scared to do the girl group. Like, I don't think I'm going to do well." Confessional.
girl
I
group."
actually was in a
What the
professional girl group for this many years, and I'm probably the best one at this.
Yeah, like Susie is tooting her own horn, and it isn't working. Like we've lost. Like I like when she says something, I'm like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily believe in her. I don't buy into her delusion. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's why when they were fighting over it, I'm like, oh my god, like even if you give it to Susie, I don't think she's gonna do a great job because she hasn't over the past few weeks. And so when Jules gave it, like I guess Jules kind of I like how Jules kind of just everyone kind of went against Susie to give Jules that part, which I thought was a very interesting dynamic. Like she was frustrated and rightly so, but I thought that was really funny to watch how everyone's like, oh, put her in a box and do this and that. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was some good drama for sure.
Bring back bullying. It works.
Right. So the pairings lineup was Onya and Lana, Sam and Lydia, Susie and Lexi, and Jules by herself. So let's start talking about Anya and Lana's acting scene. What did you think of this?
I mean, like, Lana is a funny person, and she got some direction, and then she really killed it. Like, I was loving Lana, and the fact that her tit fell down, it was funny. It was physical comedy, uh, and like in the final product that we saw on stage, it was amazing. But she did get like overshadowed by Onya, which I'm not mad about because I love Onya. But like when she saw that was happening, because that's something you notice in the moment. When you see someone's doing that well, you have to like amp yourself up somehow to get to her level. Like an acting challenge, no one here is trying to win an Oscar. You're trying to make RuPaul laugh, you know? So
Right.
dig into it. Like when you see someone like go over the top, like Anya, you kind of have to, what do you have to lose?
Right. I think she did a good job. Obviously, she got overshadowed, but spoiler alert, she was in the bottom 2 for this, and of the people in the bottom 3, I think she should have been safe.
Yeah. I don't
Yes.
agree with her being at the bottom. I think at this point the producers were like, Diva, it is the producers kind of put her, I would say, in the bottom because I felt like they felt that this was the time to leave. But
Mhm.
spoiler alert, uh
Mhm.
things do not end up that way, producers.
Yeah, it did not work out in their favor, which is a good thing for the dreamers out there.
Yeah. It's a good morning for the
It's a good
dreamers.
morning. And of course, we loved Anya's performance.
Yeah. No notes. I mean, she was so good. Like she came in, her line about what was her line where she referenced her, she said something as soon as she walked in, like pat her crotch.
I don't remember. Oh.
That's fine. But like that was the best opening. Like you couldn't, there's no second shot. Like you just get one shot, you got it. She kind of knew what she was doing with the breastplate and the butt plate and the pads. She also like even in this still that we're looking at, like the way Anya's looking at Lana, like you get like she's acting through her whole body. Like sometimes
Right.
when performers are acting for Drag Race, like you see them and they're just trying to do the voice, but their body gives off a different vibe. But Anya is like fully, she stepped into that character, which is why I think it shows so well.
Yes, I agree. And like you said, every little shot you like a still you see, you can see everything, but especially down to the nails, like she truly did know that character.
Yeah.
Like she knew exactly what to do, and I was just that was a masterclass on an acting challenge if I've ever seen one.
Hmm.
So, yay. Let's move on to Lydia and Sam. What did you think of Lydia's performance?
Oh God. I feel like she had kind of checked out. Like I think she was trying to do this person who's aloof, like her character's kind of aloof or whatever, but it just didn't work. I thought it was like it felt like her delivery wasn't as like she could have been more sharper in her delivery. I thought she was kind of asleep. You know, she was like da da da. I'm like, just say your dialogue with more conviction, Lydia. Yeah, she wasn't my favorite at all. I like she being in the bottom was, I understood it and I agreed with it. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of knew even before this started to roll that she would be in the bottom
Okay.
because remember when we had the Saturday Night Live parody and she was an elderly person. And
Mm,
you would think in a challenge like that, you would put on some sort of voice, right? Like to
yeah.
go on with it. And it was just her speaking like herself and just like old makeup. So
Hmm.
I knew that there wasn't going to, it was going to be very deadpan, which worked last week because it was her as herself, doing the roast. But once you get into a character, you can't just be yourself anymore.
Yeah.
So, that really showed in this
And,
because she was just speaking as herself in a different body.
and the double whammy is being paired next to like Sam Starr, our
Oh, yeah.
Republican diva. Uh,
Oh
who's
my
just like,
god.
oh my god, what is in Trinity's genes? Because just like so good. Like she came in, she did the whole thing, like physical comedy. She got the voice down, she got the little mannerisms down. It was so nice. Sam again, like Sam just stole the show. So not only was Lydia like subdued, but she looks even more subdued when standing or performing next to Sam Starr in this case.
Absolutely. I really love Sam Star. Like she's really growing on me a lot.
Hmm.
So it's nice to
Did
see
we
that.
did we ever find out if Sam Starr is a Republican or not? Do we have any kind of clarity?
Yeah, she clarified on Twitter. She was like, "Heck no, I would never. I've grown up around it, having to fight it my whole life." Blah, 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 blah. So, I knew that, but
Okay,
it's
but
nice that
where
she
was
confirmed.
I have a question, Sam Starr. Where were you on January 6th?
Oh, next we have, oh my God, almost called her Susie or Sam. Next we have
You got this?
Suzie, Toot, and Lexi Love.
Susie.
I got this. Look, they're doing us. They're doing our bit.
Yeah. Susie, dude, I was so distracted by the lace line. My God, like RuPaul was like, I was able to look beyond it, but I was like, what? And then, like, was it really borrowed from Anya?
It must have been. I mean,
Mama, I hope so. She was good. She was great. I think even like she was giving us those acting, like those little mannerisms where you're like, oh, this person has studied the material. And they kind of they're making it their own in a way that isn't too distracting. And like her pairing off with Lexi, like I did feel kind of like stumbly, like with Lexi's lines and stuff, but I think they still put it together as a group. Were they judged as groups or as singles?
as singles.
As singles, yeah. So I think eventually when Lexi did stumble, but then they picked it up and they kind of worked together and they got it through. Like it wasn't the worst performance. Like I don't know if I would replace Lana with Lexi at this point, but that's what
Yeah, I agree. Susie too did really well, and I think this role was way better for her than doing the one that she wanted. It was way better than Chicago. I really liked how, and it showed a different side of her, like a very like feminine, like ooh, I don't know. It was so different. So I really liked it, and I think she was definitely deserving of top
in
2.
the screenshot from the side, she does look like Miss Piggy.
She does. Oh my
Right,
God.
with the gloves and the feathers and the wig.
Yes, Piggy of the week here.
Piggy of the week. Oh my God, Amanda.
But Lexi did struggle, but then in the final edit, it looked good. And it's kind of tough because it's like you don't know what they're picking and choosing from for each person. So
Yeah.
like that could have just been to add some hills and like peaks and valleys to
Yeah.
Lexi's performance. I don't know.
Like if production wanted to, they could have done them over.
Right. Like Lexi could have looked like a pro at the same time too, and that goes for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lexi was struggling a bit. But speaking of struggling, we finally have Jules
The
Sparkles.
driver of the struggle bus this episode, Jules Sparkles. I thought Jules should have been on the bottom just for this episode. Like,
I agree. I thought she should have been bottom 2 lip syncing, not Lana.
Yeah. I felt like it should have been her versus instead of Lana for sure because like there were so many struggles and it just like she was like when she was delivering when she did her first monologue the first time, I was like, oh, that's fine, that's like it's okay. But then when the judge was like, oh, you're adding too many things and you're going off script, because she delivered it with such confidence, I'm like, oh, those are the words. But then she like when she had to actually course correct, she was kind of stumbling, adding her own bits, and they weren't necessarily funny bits. Like if maybe she had ad-libbed it and it was funnier, we could have made a forward instance and be like, she's actually adding and making the material better, but she didn't. So it just felt like, what's going on? Like the words are on the piece of paper. Just read them as they are. So I think she should have been at the bottom.
Yeah, I think it was a struggle because if you know an entire monologue already, and then you have to learn something very similar, but there's word changes, like you're gonna struggle. It's like you learned a whole song in one language and you have to relearn it in another language. It's gonna be really hard and you're gonna get switch up, and it's mentally very challenging. So that makes it was I knew she was kind of set up for failure in that sense. Mm-hmm. And then watching the performance, like everything edited, I felt like I was just watching Jules be herself.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't good.
Yeah, I wonder what like Susie Toot has to say about this next week in the workroom.
Yeah, Susie better be like, "Ooh, I dodged a bullet with that."
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Jules did not do so hot.
No, not this week. Like she's here, but this week wasn't her week.
Now let's move on to this week's runways. The category was black and white.
What would you do what would you do for black and white?
Oh, what would I do for black and white? I feel like, I don't know. First thing that comes to mind when I think of black and white is like, it's probably pronounced a little bit different, like osero, which is like that game. It's like they have little black and white pieces and they're like circles. Probably. It's like, you put it down and then you put them in between and then you turn them over to be your color.
Oh, yeah, checkers. No.
Not checkers because you take away the piece, but then like at the end, whoever has more of your color
Yes, okay.
wins. Yeah. It's spelled like Othello, at least on the board game I had.
Oh, cool.
But like in Japan, we would pronounce like Osero, like with like an S. So I don't know. Anyways, I feel like I would do something like that. And it could also align with like polka dots. I don't know. What would you do?
I would do something like mystical, like black and white. My first reaction was like a chess piece, like the queen of like a chess piece on a board. But I think Jimbo already did that. So on UK versus the world, so I might do something else. But I would do something fantasy inspired, something that's not so literal.
That's so real. Yeah. That's a way better. That's a way better idea than me.
No.
I feel like you could, knowing your drag, you could have taken, like Onya talked about that smoke and fog on her gown. I feel like you would have made it like the whole moment. I feel like you could pull something really cool like that and mystical. Let's start off with Jewel Sparkles.
So she referenced this sketch, this drawing. I think it's a good recreation of the sketch. But like it's very 2D, right? Like instead of actually having chains, the chains drawn on her. I think this is a safe option. Like for me, it's a nibble. Like it was great. Like it's not spectacular. I wouldn't say this is one of the better looks. It's a safe look for me. So that's a nibble. What about you?
That's so interesting because in my mind, I thought this is a devour.
Okay, holy.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why.
But also, I feel like this week's runway category, like of all the options we saw, like it wasn't the best week for in general when you look across the board. But I do think this is one of Jules's stronger pieces. I feel like we've discussed this before, but I feel like Jules can be very hit or miss for me with what she's wearing. It's either going to be like the best thing I've seen that week, or it's something I'm like, you look so like, and it's not even the outfit. It's like the colors that make her look really washed out. And so it's like I can't even tell that it's Jules because she gets washed out by like the gold one that we saw. Yes. Like it's like I probably couldn't recognize her because I wouldn't be able to like see her features pop as well. But this I think is one of her best, like one of her better looks. It's not the favorite one. I think my favorite one is the fan still, the blue fan look. But I do really enjoy this.
Cool.
And next we have Lana Jure.
I love the silhouette of this look of her just walking down and she's like, I'm gonna show off my legs. I love them. Her legs are beautiful. I wish there was more polka dot in the outfit just above. Just it would pull together as one like it would be more cohesive. That's the only nitpick I have. I think it's very different from what the other queens have done. And I love that she was like, oh yeah, my hair is made of hair. And I'm like, what do you mean, Lana? And she's like, yeah, even the white bows are hair. I'm like, oh, that's where she's going with this. But you know what? I missed that she said this is a new look for Lana this time. She didn't say that. And I felt
yes, she did. She said it.
Oh, she did?
She did. And it was like, I don't know, it felt like it was even more obvious that she said it this week than any other time for me.
I missed it. Okay, yeah, but I mean, this is a nibble as well.
Oh, you give it a nibble?
Yeah, I'm being very stingy today.
Okay.
What do you think?
I love you, Lana. It's a regurgitate for me.
What didn't you like? Just so we can tag Lana.
I think at first I thought it looked good, or it was okay, like nibble worthy when I watched it on like this TV with it moving. But seeing it in this still, I get to look more at the details, and I don't like it. It feels like I think maybe some more black should have been incorporated. The whole white part. I think for me, the silhouette is odd for me.
Okay.
I think I don't like the poofy sleeve with the rest of it. I think that's the problem. That there's only poof in the arms and no poof anywhere else. I don't know. It's not my favorite. I think also like not the biggest. I know I talked about polka dots earlier, but I feel like I'm not the biggest polka dot fan either. Maybe that's throwing me off too. I think her legs look great, but this outfit, it feels like the bottom half is missing for me. if
Yeah,
that makes sense, just because of the
yeah.
booth.
And like even when Ross said this works, I was like, what are you smoking? Like it's decent. I thought it was decent, but he's like, oh, the way it works. I'm like, Ross Matthews, what is going on with you, sir?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. All right, let's move on to Lexi Love.
Uh, I love this outfit. I thought it was so good. She referenced the Mugler fashion show where the models were wearing silk and they had these fans just blowing at them. So it was so beautiful. And it was like, I love the ombre effect. You go from light to dark. My issue with the outfit is that she has bedazzled her duck, and the material of the duck is skin colored. So it looks like she's bedazzled it on her skin. Like when
Mm,
she came out, I was like, oh my God, is that on her skin? Because that would be like,
painful.
yeah, to remove or whatever. I'm like, and then it's like, oh, did you not have a white panty? Like,
Mm,
it's that tiny thing that made me go like, oh, come on. Um, yeah, but like she's also like Lexi on the runway so far is very one note.
mm,
Uh, and Michelle Visage called it out. We called it out last week. At this point, like when you give someone feedback like that, you don't know what's in their closet. You don't know what they've bought to Drag Race. You know,
right.
maybe Lexi, like, and she's saying, yeah, I'll change it next time. But Diva, you don't know what the runway is next week, and if it's something, if it's a train again, I don't know how you're going to change it. So Lexi, you're in danger, girl. Um, yeah,
Right. I feel like that is the weird not two-edged sword, but if you aren't someone like, let's say, Utica or any other really skilled seamstress, if you get that critique, how are you going to fix the rest of your outfits? Like
yeah.
maybe if Lexi can sew, of course, but like, I feel like just because you can sew doesn't mean you're confident that you can change an outfit and make it still look runway worthy. Like, how would she be able to change this? But I think she was saying like it won't happen next time, as in like maybe it means like that's the last one of her looks that has the cape.
Or
I'm
yeah,
hoping.
but it's odd that so far every single run with the order has been that train.
Right, right. So I'm a little
So
worried.
yeah,
I'm a
but
little
this
worried.
moves so beautifully on stage, and my God, her legs, they are defined. Like this bitch
Mhm,
walks, skates, jumps. Like she could crush something with her thighs.
mhm.
They look so solid.
Yes. But I don't know what to give
Oh,
this.
for me, this is a nibble only because yeah, like it's beautiful, but I wish there was more to this. I wish there was a little more fabric or something, because it's a
Mhm.
headdress that has the cape attached to it. Like, you know, this would
I,
impress the shit out of people in a bar, but we've seen this. Like, come on, this is Drag Race. Give us something more Lexi.
yeah. I think this might be, I don't know if I've done this in the past. I think this might be my first, but I think I have to give it a regurgitate for myself.
Is that two regurgitates?
I
No.
know. I'm usually really nice, but I forget who said it, but somebody was like, you just gotta be real. You can't nibble all the time. And so that I feel like that changed my perspective. Was that
Mm,
Rose? Or was it
probably.
yeah. Or it was Lady Cam no, Lady Camden said that. And I was like, wait, you're right. I because I loved how the cape flowed from the headpiece. I just don't think it was enough to give me a nibble
Yeah.
because I I don't like the hair. I know that it's a reference. Oh my god, Muji pen. Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, Muji
I
pen.
love a Muji pen.
Only
I
the best.
I just I played this. I used to play this game as a kid that all the kids used to play called Wizard 101, and they had
Okay.
this like little character that you spell thing, and it like had a hair like that, and it just reminds me of that in a weird way. And the dress is pretty, but the way that the white starts and ends, it looks like a diaper,
Yeah.
especially with the bedazzling. Um,
Like she could have made the angles to make it more like a swimsuit, because then it
mhm.
gives makes her like even look longer and makes her skinnier. What was I going to say about this? Fuck, I forgot. You know, someone who did something very similar,
Mm?
Kamora Hall in the
Yeah.
olive, like, and it covered her legs, but the way she just like she was gliding down the runway, it moved
Yes.
so well. like, you know, when you have black and white, like doing something like this with a caftan or just something that flows would, like, if she had more flowy stuff basically in the bottom of the outfit, it would work so well. But I feel like she didn't commit to, you know, that. She's like, I still want to show my legs, and like, we know you have great legs, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But love Lexi love, and I hope she does really good the next episode.
Yeah, and also in this look, she's so top heavy. Like, there's jewelry, everything's stacked up, and then the
Right.
legs
And
are
there's
kind of,
nothing on the
there's nothing
bottom.
there. Like, you know, yeah. You know, I'll change. This is also a regurgitate. We're
All
not
right.
nibbling anymore.
Okay, okay. Next we have Lydia B. Kollins. What did you think of this?
I thought this was great. I thought, like, it is she is mixing patterns, but there is a method to the madness, like, because that swirls all around her, the I guess the white tiger print or the snow leopard print that goes all around her. um I think it could have done without the black tails that are hanging. I feel like that's a distraction. And she obviously, like, she couldn't walk very well in this outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I feel about that, because, like, when you're going to drag race, you know, you're making this look, you have to plan, what if I have to lip sync in this look? Every look you have to think, what if I lip sync in this? How would I lip sync? And if you can't walk, that's definitely a red flag. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as she was, like, you know, hobbling down the main stage, the producers are like, oh, I'd love you. They're rubbing their hands like, I'd love to put this in a lip sync just to see what she does.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're giving them so much fodder to with you, and I think that's what happened. Maybe she thought she was safe and was like, I won't have to do
Oh,
this.
maybe.
You
What
know,
do you
she's like,
give this?
I give this a, I was, this is a, I give this a 8. I like this
Woo.
a lot.
I also give this an 8. I like it. You know, I agree the like little foxtails are a little random. I feel like she is black and white, spooky ooky baby. What do you call it? The thing that rotates around the crib.
The angel? Oh, like the star thing. Like, you know, they have planets on the
Yeah, yeah,
crib.
yeah, yeah, that thing. I feel like she's
Oh,
like that. If she, so
a
she's just a
mobile.
baby. Yes, the mobile.
She's a baby.
She's just a baby. Ariane, take notes.
Um,
But I like this. I think it's one of my favorite looks of hers. Honestly, I think
yeah.
I I
And
understand, but didn't love like a lot of things from in her package so far. But I
mhm.
like this one.
Also, this was such, like, you know, when you make this outfit, because there's such a visual distinction between the two patterns, the bottom half could so easily have been a tearaway.
Right. It
There are
could have
no
been.
seams, you know, you don't see anything. You could just have Velcro or something. So if you do have to lip sync, boom, and your legs are free. You don't have to, like, we'll get to that. But yes.
Right, right. Next, we have Onya Nurve. They
On
did her dirty with this picture.
Yeah. You don't get to see any of the glamour. I think this, to me, Anya has done consistently well in the runways. Maybe the first two were kind of like, Diva, come on, pick it up. This is still, I'm not the biggest fan.
Mm.
I get the reference. We get the Black Swan Bjork wore to the Oscars, I believe, or the Grammys, one of those. This is her own take on it. I I just don't know if this is so flat. Like, it's wispy, there's smoke coming, there's sequins, and the placement of the duck is just like boom on her head. Like, it I wish that I don't know how this outfit was made, but I wish there was more attention paid to the finishing. Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah. For me, this is it's, oh god. So we have 8: regurgitate, nibble, devour. I don't think she devoured. I don't think she ate as well. I would say, you know what? In the spirit of not nibbling, I would say this is a regurgitate for me. And looking at your reaction, Amanda, I think you have something very different to
I
say.
No, I'm kind of like in the same boat. I'm
Oh,
debating between nibble and regurgitate. You know
what?
what? In the comparison to the rest of the lineup, it can get a nibble.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
better than a lot of the other things that I've seen today, but I wish there was more attention to detail on what makes it different from being just a gown.
yeah.
I think that middle smoke storyline could have been really like the fog could have been more. But I understand making a gown like this commissioned is really expensive. But like, I don't know.
My question is, where is the body of the black swan? Like,
Right.
we have this beautiful head, that's speaking, like, coming around her head, on her head, and it's landing. But okay, give us more. Like, what? Like, if you're doing black swan, give us more feathers.
Right. Where were the feathers? They were
If
missing in action.
there's so many ways you can like continue the story.
Yeah.
But we didn't really see that. Like this look, I'm just thinking, if we had to redo, if I had to make this with a peacock, like a peacock's head and the whole feather, like you could have done. I
Yeah.
wish if the swan is black, if the gown was white, you could see more of the swan.
That could be cool. Yeah. I feel like until she said that there was this one, I didn't really understand / notice.
Yeah, there needs to be more contrast between, like, where is the white?
Oh, it's true.
Where is, I mean, I don't want to be looking at a black person and saying, where is the white? But like the category was black and white, Anya.
Right. I'm glad we agree.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely not the worst look, but it wasn't the best. It was a good safe. Next we have Sam Star.
So good. I mean, she turned the corner and I was like, this whore. She explained she's a jester to the queen being RuPaul. Love that. Love the mixed matchiness of it all. The wig is on point. I feel like I've seen this wig on Trinity somewhere, but it is very that. The mask, beautiful. The patterns, the way the patterns work is great. There is a lot. This look is visually a lot. But it is styled and it works because they all have patterns that are associated with the circus.
Right.
The pinstripe, the diamonds are all like, when you go to a circus you see it, so it doesn't seem like they're all fighting for attention. They all are cohesive with the theme, which I thought was so smart to do. I love it. This is my devour for the week.
I'm gonna give a second devour.
Hey.
I'm like, whatever. We'll have to. It's so good. So everything's so balanced. It's so good. Like Sam Star is defying my expectations every time.
And this is so easy to get wrong when you throw patterns together in what might seem like, just random areas. You're like, oh, this can go so wrong, but they all add to her. Like the way it curves the specific sections around her waist, it makes her seem taller. Like, one side, one shoulder has these ruffles, and to balance it out, the other shoulder is just stark white with a little pattern. So you don't feel like, oh, she doesn't feel too lopsided on one side. It is just so well done. I love it.
Agreed. I think the only person that could pull off this look and design it to the correct proportions of patterns and things would have been Sam Star, honestly. So
yeah,
love it.
Next, oh my god,
we have Susie Toot as a cat.
I love this shit. Can I devour twice?
Yeah.
Sure. I devour this. This is my favorite look that she's ever done. I think it was so nice. I don't agree with Sam Smith's critique that she should have been more. He was like, "Can we say cunt?" And like, cinching it would make you cunt. And I was like, Sam Smith, I don't think we're trusting your judgment on cunt. Like, we've seen your fashion. I'm not, but I thought this was so smart. The way it moved on the runway. She was like, "I'm a cat." Sure, diva. I'm buying it. Oh my god. I'm thinking, what would I add to this at all? Jewelry. Something to sparkle on the neck or something, just to like boom. But this was I can't even imagine how long it took to make this. But the amount
I
of
can't either. It's amazing. I'm giving this a strong 8. I really, really liked it.
Like
one of her. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it's one of her best looks that she's done on the runway for sure.
Yeah. If she wore this during a number and I was at the bar, even before she opened her mouth, I'd be like, "Here's a tip just for this."
Yes.
Thank you for blessing us and blessing the stage with this with your presence. Like, it's just, you see it and you're like, "Ah, what am I looking at?" And I love that.
Yes, I agree. I loved it. It was so good. Now we're done with the runways. We're back to the critiques. Our tops for this week are Onya, Sam, Suzie, and Lexi. What do you think about that? What do you think?
I think Anya and Sam were definitely the tops of the week. Um, I don't like yeah, I guess they put Lexi in the top as well. I'm not if she's in the top, I love that for her. But my favorites were Anya and Samstar. I never thought I'd be saying Samstar as my favorite, but I stand corrected. She has
Yes.
proven me specifically wrong week after week. So what can I say, Diva? Yeah. What about you? Did you think?
I agree. I'm on the same page as you. I was very much Anya and Sam, and I knew Anya was gonna win, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Susie did good too, but I think Sam was just a little bit above. And so I completely agree with that. And the bottoms were Lydia, Lana, and Jules, as we mentioned before. But let's talk about like Lydia and Lana were the ones that got picked to lip sync, and Jules was safe at the
Mm-hmm.
end. Do you think Jules should have been lip syncing? Because
I
I
think
think so.
Jules should have been lip syncing. I think Jules should have been swapped out with Lana.
Mhm.
Only because like Jules fought so hard for that role to fumble it. You know what? If you're gonna write that hard, you deserve the consequences when you fumble it. So I felt like it should have been her versus Lydia, and not Lana.
Yeah. Speaking of people lip syncing or going home, RuPaul asked who should go home and why. Only 3 people gave a real answer.
Yeah.
That
I
pissed me off.
We have to stop. I think like going back to like you've seen how beautifully Lux destroyed the entire cast when
Oh
Lux
yeah.
asked this question. Like, went down the line, beep 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 bop bop bop. I think we need to lean more into that. This whole this person should go home, that person like because they're my biggest competition. It creates drama, but you're on TV. Stop trying to be congenial. I did that on my season where I was like, send chaos home. And it caused so much
Yeah.
drama that yeah,
Yeah.
and which I think to date has not been resolved. But again, not my problem, Diva.
Oh.
Um, yeah, so like, just say what you mean, and don't hide behind the facade of they're my biggest competition. Just say I hate this and I want her gone. That's so more. It's a lot more real. The judges get it. And you don't have to be like, oh, this person is my biggest competition. No one cares who your biggest competition is at this point. You know, um, just stop trying to be Miss Congeniality. Or you can just say, oh, I took your name because I think you're a threat. You don't think she's a threat. You just don't want to be perceived as a villain or some sort, or malicious. And you can throw someone under the bus without being malicious. You just do it gently.
I feel like at this point, you don't say who should go home. Honestly, I feel like you're gonna get more hate at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like I feel like more people are upset that other people didn't say like people who haven't had the strongest track record. Let's say like Lydia
Mhm.
or Alana, or you could even say Jules because she didn't do that great this episode. So it was weird. It was
Yeah.
weird.
Like, remember when Kennedy Davenport said someone's name and she was like, clearly the struggle bus, the struggle
Ah!
is real. I think who did she say that to? Was it Milk? No,
I don't
maybe and
remember.
Kennedy Davenport was like, clearly the struggle is real. And you could see, and then they panted the queen, and it was like, oh my god, like call it out, you
Yes,
know?
exactly, exactly. So Anya is of course the winner of this week's challenge,
Bada bing, bada bang, bada
and
boom. This is her
Lana,
what, third win?
yeah, she's got 3 wins.
Hey, triple threat, baby.
Yes. So 3 already in this season. If you were on Drag Race UK, you'd have that crown secured. We gotta talk about this lip sync with Lydia and Lana.
I think the production gave this lip sync to Lydia wrapped up in a gift and said, Diva, it up. And you know what? She it up.
Mm.
Like, yeah. Like Lana didn't deserve to be in the bottom. They put her in because they're like, okay, sweetheart, we love you, but this is your time to go. Lydia, send her home.
Is it crazy that I think that up until the scissors that Lydia was winning the lip sync?
100%. 100%. Like Lana was doing all these tricks to Unholy, and Lydia was doing her own thing. And I was more intrigued with what Lydia was doing. Like I was looking at her because we've seen Lana lip sync so many times, and she does what she does best. She lip syncs, and we've seen it. So, and Lydia could have just given us more of a performance. I wish, yeah, and also like, oh my god, to see her cut through that fabric that is so hard because it's fur.
I
It's so
know.
hard to cut through with just a pair of scissors. You know,
Honestly, even if it were just spandex and a fabric scissor, it wouldn't have worked. It would
I
have been taken so long.
yeah, I don't. She should have. Okay, here's what. Well, that outfit looks so hard to get out of even normally. Like, you can't just unzip it and then it just slinks off because her arms are like she didn't have access to her arms and because they were like they had those extremities. So this was just not. She should have just stuck with her guns and lip
Yeah.
sync in that outfit.
I was thinking about it for a while after the episode. I'm like, what would I have done like differently if I had to cut it? I don't think she should have cut it in general. I think she would have honestly could have won without it. But I thought maybe she should have like cut maybe like 90% of it, have some little bits that are like hanging that you can't see because there's some layering to it. I don't know. So where you just have to do a couple snips and it comes right off.
You know what? You know what you could do.
What?
You when at least this is what happens on Canada. Your tops and bottoms get announced, and then they take you back into Untucked, and they give you like 30 minutes to basically prep the song, and they give people like that time is basically for you to ready yourself, but also for the stage cameras to reset because they have to shoot a lip sync. So all the
Mm-hmm.
cameras have to reset. In those 30 minutes on Canada, you're allowed to make edits to your outfit if you think you're going to be lip syncing. And you're allowed
Mm.
to like, as long as it looks the same so that continuity isn't broken, you're allowed to like take your outfit off, wear something inside, and then put it back on in case you plan to reveal or something. You're allowed to do all those things. She should have made the slits like when you think of it, like you're not cutting through, you're just cutting little sections and have like tiny little things that are easily
Yeah.
visible, you
Yeah.
know and so you go in ready with
Right.
that
Right.
idea, with that plan, that and so you don't even need scissors at that point. You just use your fingers to break it, and you can do that to a part of the song where the song starts, because the song starts with like the chorus is going like, mommy doesn't know daddy's getting hot, like break, like that's when you tear it and it adds value to your lip sync.
It's getting to the point where it's hard to see people go home.
Yeah, especially her. Like I loved her. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
I mean, whoever went home, it would be hard, but at least like because I think she's been doing better than Lana so far in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it feels a little bit more bitter because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's bring back the question. Who should go home next week and why?
Niru.
Niru.
Niru should go
Agreed.
home every single week.
Every
Niru
week.
shouldn't. Yeah, Niru should. Yeah, never let Niru get out of the house.
Mhm.
I think at that point in the competition, I would say I would have to say Lana.
Mhm.
Lana. Yeah, I would say Lana only because I feel like because in this specific situation, like because the judges have given their critiques,
Mhm.
right? So you can like fall on the judge and say, well, you haven't been doing this well, especially this week, and it's been consistent. So if I have to say someone, I would say Lana. Who would you say?
I agree. I just think with track record, it's like it would be tough to have her to be able to keep fighting and placing this high. What's next week's challenge? Do you remember?
It's some interpretive dance mumbo
Oh
jumbo.
yeah. I don't know if Lana's gonna be able to pull that off, if that makes sense.
We'll see. Fingers
I
crossed.
think I think yeah, we'll see. We'll find out. I don't know. It's a very like it's up in the air, I think, for what it
Yeah, like
is.
I think it's we're down to top six now.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I believe I mean next week if Lana wins, mama, what a comeback. Like, hello. But I would be scared if I was her.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-mm.
Well, look how much shorter our episodes are when we don't have someone else talking in our ear.
Not a babbling fool giving
Niru could never. You know, one time I had an episode of her and Tia Coffee, and it was 3 hours long.
Oh my god. I mean that's also because Niru has nothing to do.
That's true.
Like,
Niru's jobless. That's
yeah.
even though they're employed, they're still jobless. Um, yeah, they
I
don't
think
know
we
how
should
to stop
ask our
talking.
listeners the question. If
Oh,
Niru, what job do you think Niru would be best at?
Right, like
let us know.
Dreamcast Niru in a job role.
If you were to hire Niru for anything, what would you hire Niru for? Let us know in the comments.
Yes, if you made it this far. I'm looking at you, person that always live tweets our podcast that likes to stay anonymous. I'm looking at you, Starlight. I'm looking. Shout out to Starlight for being our national press tier patron. Woo.
Hey, thank you so much, Starlight.
Yes. So that was so much fun. Thank you, Bombae, for chatting with me and very calm.
Amanda,
and
thank you for putting this together,
episode.
and thank you for breaking Niru's ankle.
You're welcome. I love to sabotage. You know, one shot of it. Wait, no, that's not the right song. What was your song? Let the music play.
Oh my god, what a horrible song. Oh my
gosh. On that note, see y'all next week.
Let the music play.